Hi, everyone. I'm Reen Wilcoxon, and welcome to my April demo. If you can hear me and see me, start commenting. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from today. I'm going to try to follow along with the comments. It gets a little bit hard. If you have been following me, you know that I've been doing a monthly demo. I show you some of my designs, how to stitch them out, give you some ideas of how to use them. Hi, Caroline. Thanks for joining me today. Eileen, thanks for being here. So again, if you didn't hear the first part, welcome to my April demo. I have been doing monthly demos since the start of this year, and I plan to do them throughout 2021. So I see a lot of people rolling in. Thanks for joining me today. So what I'm going to show you today is my Monogram coffee cup sleeves and how to stitch these out and how to embellish them in different ways. So the coffee sleeve, obviously it fits around a travel coffee cup. This happens to be I think this is a 20-ounce Starbucks cup. They close with an elastic and a loop on the back, an elastic loop and a button on the back. And the set includes 28 files. So you get the coffee sleeves that are made in the hoop with the letters already embedded into them. So you get A through Z. Then you get one that's completely blank with no little applique circle. And then you get one that has a blank applique circle that you can add your own design, your own, font or whatever you want to. And I'm going to show you some different things that you can do to embellish these. So let me just take a look at the comments, and I see everyone's rolling in. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you again. So thanks for joining me. Hi, Lynn. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to switch my camera to my hoop so you can see what's going on there. So to make these, you only need really a few pieces of fabrics and materials. A piece of batting, or you can use Embroidery. And we'll talk about this piece of Embroidery that I'm using in a little bit. Hi, Beth. You are going to need something for the applique circle if you choose to use that file. A 4-inch piece of elastic. This is a 1/4-inch elastic. You can use a little bit wider if you want. You need 2 pieces of fabric. One is going to be the front, one will be the back, and then a long piece of fabric that has been folded wrong sides together. And all of the measurements and everything are included in the set that you download. I've hooped a piece of poly mesh stabilizer. The first thing I'm going to do is layer my batting, Warm and Natural or Embroidery, in the hoop. This design is for a 6x10 hoop, and I'm using a 6x10 hoop. If you happen to be using a larger hoop than 6x10, what I like to do to center something is basically take whatever you want to center, fold it in half, wrong sides together, line up the fold with these 2, little notches that are built into your hoop, then unfold it, and that is close enough to center. Now the Embroidery, I am using Embroidery, and a lot of people ask, well, which side goes up, the shiny side or the other side? If you go to the Embroidery website now, they say it does not matter which side goes up. Hi, Alice. Nice to see you here. Hi, Mary. So that's the first step, is to lay the batting down. And the first step you're actually going to stitch is going to stitch around here in the sleeve shape, the outline. So I've got my machine right over here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that step for you right now. This is step 1, and what it's doing is it's attaching this Embroidery or batting to the stabilizer. And then you're going to be trimming around that, and I'll show you that too. So let's see if there's any questions. I see a lot of people rolling in. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you're enjoying these monthly demos. And if you have any ideas for other demos, or techniques you want to learn about, you know, shoot me an email or post in my In the Hoop Facebook group. Just kind of get the info to me and I'll see what I can do. So I see a lot of people coming in. Thanks so much. Hi, Patty. Patty's an old neighbor of mine. But these sleeves are very easy to do. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, the sleeve set, the coffee, the Monogram coffee cup sleeves are on sale on my website. You don't need any code. They're already on sale. The other things I'm going to talk about are on sale too. The layered flowers that we're going to talk about of how to embellish some of the sleeves, they're on sale. The garden flower lace collection is on sale because I'm going to talk about how to use the freestanding lace flowers to embellish the sleeves. And I've got a little packaging idea. And I'll just kind of give you a little sneak peek of that right now. You can put the sleeve onto this printout of coffee cup. And this little template is on sale. If you follow Embroidery's Facebook page, the other day I uploaded a PDF that kind of lists all the things that I'm using, the products I'm using, and it'll give you all those design links that I'm talking about that you can click on and get right to them. And remember, they're already on sale, no code needed or anything. So I'm going to look and see. Virginia wants to know what my website is. I am Embroidery Garden, and the website is www.embroiderygarden.com. Okay, so it's done stitching the batting or the Embroidery down. And what it does is it does a zigzag around there because I like a zigzag to trim close to. So let me go ahead and change my camera. And there you can see that it tacked this piece of Embroidery I'm using down. And just so you know, this is the top of my hoop. This is the bottom of the hoop. And let me grab my scissors here. I had my small scissors, but I'm going to go ahead and use the larger ones because they're going to work just fine. And you can see I'm trimming very close to those stitches. And a tip for trimming is whatever you are trimming off, hold it at a 90-degree angle, and you can get the blade of those scissors very close to what you're trimming. And another tip is I turn my hoop when I'm trimming. Instead of my scissors, I'm turning whatever I'm working on. I'm working my hoops, I'm turning my hoop. It just makes it easier for me. So I'm just taking really the bevel of these scissors and putting it up against that stitching. And you can see how nice that I got this trimmed. Let me turn my hoop back to this being the top and this being the bottom. The reason why this is put down first and trimmed around is so that it keeps all of the batting that you're using out of your corners and out of the seams, and it makes your finished sleeve lay really nicely. There's no bulk in the seams or in the corners. So that's the reason why that's trimmed. So then you're going to take one of the larger pieces of fabric, place it right side up, and center it over that batting that you just trimmed. This is going to actually be the front of the little sleeve. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to tape it down just a little bit. You can tape it, pin it, or just kind of watch it. Just make sure though it's nice and smooth and tight. So step number 2 is going to stitch this down in the shape of the sleeve again. And if you look at this one, let me hold up a little bit higher, and you see this kind of gold color actually doing. So it's attaching the fabric down to the stabilizer, and it's going to kind of give you a mock top stitch. So you'll want to use a color that you're going to want to see in the end. So this is going to be step 2 that's going to stitch, and I'm going to get my hoop back on the machine. And I'm using just the same thread for the entire design. And of course, you can change threads for the different steps if you want, but just for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be using the same color thread. So I see Barbara. She loves the flowers. Thank you, Barbara. Ginger, what scissors am I using? I use Kai scissors. These are, let me see the number on them, 7250 SL. I love Kai scissors. The ones that I usually use for trimming applique are the really small 4-inch curved Kai. I had them on the table. I am going to have to go get those in a second when it comes time to trim the area for the applique. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining me. Yes, some scissors are sold. Kai scissors are sold on Amazon, but they also have a website. You can go to kaiscissors.com and see their whole line of scissors. Sarah wants to know about the tape I use. It's a medical tape. I get it off of Amazon. It's 3M Transfor tape. This is the best tape there is for in the hoop designs. I've used it for years. I tell everyone about it. It is really the best tape. Let me just pull a piece off here so I get a good look. So it's clear, it's perforated. So let me just tear it here. Tears very easily. You can stitch through it. It doesn't gum up your needle. And when you go to, you shouldn't stitch through any tape if you don't have to, but if you stitch through it, you can just easily tear it right off. I've never used painter's tape or the blue tape, the masking tape, the paper tape. I always use this and it has never failed me. And Ginger says she's been using it for a long time too. Yes, it is the best tape. Just give it a try and you'll see that it is a really good tape. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my camera again. And it's probably hard for you to see that kind of what I called a mock top stitch line because I used the same color of thread. It kind of blends in with this gray, but it does go all the way around in the shape of the sleeve. The next step is going to stitch, the placement is going to be a circle for the applique. It's just a little circle monogram. So I'm going to go ahead and get this back on my machine and stitch step number 3. There are only 7 steps to the entire design. And if you choose not to use that applique circle, there's even less. All right, so Judy has used the CVS type. That's fine too. It's a Transform Medical tape. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining me. Ginger has the same fabric. Okay, so it has stitched the little placement line that's going to show where to place the applique fabric. So again, I'm going to change my camera. And here's my hoop. And I think you might be able to see that circle that it stitched right there. So I'm just using a piece of white fabric. And I've got so many things, here it is, so many things laying on my table that it's kind of hard to see. So I thought I would use white so it would really show up. And what I happen to do with this piece of white fabric is I ironed a piece of SF 101 to the back side. Now what that does is, you know, it kind of makes this where it's not so transparent since I'm using white, and it just gives it a really nice feel and body to it. So you place it over, you want to cover your placement. If you want to tape it in place, you can, but you don't have to. Teresa says my instructions are always great and easy to follow. Thank you very much. I try really hard to make them so that anyone can follow along. Thanks, Pam. Pam likes my scarf. I did make my scarf, actually. I don't make a lot of things like that, but I did make the scarf. So step number 4 is tacking down this piece of applique fabric. It's just going to kind of do a zigzag. A lot of times in applique, I like to use a zigzag because it's easier to trim, I think, around a zigzag. You certainly, if you wanted to use cork for the circle, that's a great idea. You can certainly do that. I saw someone asked if you can watch the replay. Yes, this is going to be on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page, and you can watch it over and over. You can either go to the page and scroll for the video, or click on videos, and it'll come up. All right, so it's done stitching step number 4, which was the tack down. So let me change my camera. And you can see the tack down that it did going around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little Kai scissors, because I like to use those for the little detailed work. So these are my little 4-inch Kai scissors. You see they have a curved tip. These are, to me, the best scissors to do trim applique. I know everyone has their own favorites, and you got to use ones that are comfortable to you. But I find these to be very good, that I can get very close. And you can see how close I'm getting to this, the stitches around this little applique. And I turn my hoop. Instead of really turning my scissors, I am turning my hoop. Let me just get this little piece off here. All right, so the next step, it's going to do a satin stitch around here. So let me go ahead and let me put this on the machine, and let me get the view turned. So it's stitching that. Let's see, Judy wants to know, she says, are these really useful? Well, I know a lot of people that do use them. So basically what it's going to do is, you have your hot coffee, it protects your hand, plus they look really cute. And, you know, I don't know how you would throw them away, Judy. Basically, you know, when your coffee's done, you can either undo it, take it off, slide it down, throw it into your purse. You know, so they are padded with the Insulbright or with the batting. So it does protect your hand. A lot of times coffee is extremely hot. So, and like I said, they look cute. Hi, Mary, thanks for joining me. Yes, someone just said that the Kai scissors are very sharp and very good to use. I certainly agree with that. Yes, you could use them on a cold beverage. Doesn't matter. It could be a hot beverage or a cold beverage. That's a good point. And yes, they are reusable, so they are great for the environment. You have the cardboard sleeves. Yeah, those basically you're going to toss away. But I don't see anyone tossing away one of these pretty ones, especially with their name on it. And it identifies your coffee. You're in a group and you have a whole bunch of people, you know, went out and got coffee. You definitely know which one is yours. Right, Brenda, whose drink belongs to who? So we are going to talk about different ways to embellish these. So let me see. So basically, this is how basically they come. It has an initial on here, and again, they close with a piece of elastic and a button. Here's another one. So this one's the R, and again, A through Z. You get one with just a circle, so you can put anything in there that you want, and then one plain. You know, guys might like just a plain one, maybe in their favorite sports, you know, team fabric or something like that. Michelle says, cute idea, thank you. You would love to have one, Minerva? Well, you could certainly make them. All you need is a 6x10 hoop to make these. And if you look at this one, I'll try to hold it up so you can get it. You can see I put a few little, this one has a couple little rhinestones, little crystals there. So you can bling them up however you want. Michelle's made them for teacher gifts. That's a great idea. Teachers are always drinking coffee. They would make great gifts for your team, Judy. Are there different sizes? not of the sleeves, but you can see that the different sizes, or the sleeves will fit different sizes of cups. So these are two different sizes of cups, and it will fit a different size of a cup. You really have to have that length. You really need this length for it to go around basically any cup. So, you know, using a smaller hoop, that's really not going to get you something that will go all the way around. So the applique is done. And let me go ahead and change the camera. And let me hold it up there a little bit higher so you can see the satin stitch that went around. And it did do like a little bean stitch. Judy, yes, you could use a different design in the center. Like I said, they come plain. So you could add anything on here you wanted. They come with just a blank applique circle, so you could put anything in there. Virginia wants to know about Velcro. You know, if you wanted to use Velcro, you got to go into the next size hoop because these would have to overlap. You know, most of the time when people get coffee, they want them in these bigger 20-ounce size cups, or, you know, this one I think is maybe a 10-ounce cup. So, and even this one, to use Velcro, so you're really gonna, it needs to be longer so that it will attach, and it would have to really lap over like an inch, I think, to be very secure. All right, so this is, my applique is done. So if you were doing the ones with an initial or something, then the initial would stitch next. On this one, I'm not going to do the initial. So we're going to go on to the next step. So the next step is going to use our big folded piece of fabric. Now, a lot of people ask, and now what this folded piece of fabric is going to do is on the back side, let me get this one. Yeah, let me use this one. It forms a pocket. See this pocket on the back side? This is this long folded piece of fabric that's going to go down next. And a lot of people ask, well, what is this pocket for? So what the pocket does, the most important thing is, what the pocket does is, when this is all completed and it's finished, you have no hand sewing to do whatsoever. You also, and this is, the pocket is what hides it. Another thing that you can do with the pocket is, let's say your hands are very sensitive. Maybe you wanted to just trim out another piece of Embroidery or batting, cut it and slip it down inside to make it that much more, have that much more protection for your hands. And the pocket itself adds 2 more layers of fabric to protect your hands with. Judy wants to know if you can lengthen the wrap or the sleeve in software. You can always try. I don't guarantee, you know, resizing or changing a file, because I don't guarantee how it's going to stitch, but you can certainly try it. So let's get back now to the design, and this is that pocket piece. This is the fold. Remember, this is the top of my hoop. This is the bottom of my hoop. So down here, the step 2 that stitch the outline, and let me raise this up and see if you can't see this stitching here a little bit better. So the placement for this piece is, the fold is going towards the bottom of the hoop, and the fold is going to go 1/4 inch up from the left hand corner. So here's my left hand corner. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a pin. I'll get this air erasable pin, and I'm just going to trace out this left hand corner. Hopefully you can see this better. And okay, so here's the left-hand corner. I just traced it out because this is going to get placed with the fold 1/4 inch above the left-hand corner. So let me get it in place, and then I'll show you. And it's just going straight across. And I will go ahead and tape this down just because I don't want it to move. And the reason it's going a 1/4 inch higher than the corner is so that it does not get caught in the final stitching. So the next step is going to stitch this piece on down here, or actually up here. This is the top of my hoop. It's just going to stitch this piece on with a small little stitch. So you can see how easy this design is to do. This step is going to stitch really quick. And our next step will be to place our elastic loop. So I'm going to look and see what comments are coming up. I'm not sure what Julie means about the 1 inch, but the elastic I'm using is a 1/4 inch wide, and I've cut it 4 inches long. So let's go back to the hoop. All right, and then it's stitched on right here. Just a short little seam that it stitches. Hi, Kathy, nice to see you here this morning. I'm gonna remove this tape because I don't need it there. Now we're gonna be placing our elastic. So I'm gonna, whoops, almost lost my piece of elastic. So I'm just gonna fold it in half. And now whenever you place elastic or a tie or anything, and it's folded in half, the loop end always has to point towards the inside of the hoop. So let me just kind of get this together here. I'm centering it on this line here, the bottom of the hoop here, the sleeve line. I'm going to have the cut end extend a 1/2 inch past that line. Let me get this tape down in place, and then I'll try to give you a little close-up of it. And I'm taping above and below. So here are my cut ends. Here's my loop. It's going towards the inside of the hoop. Susie, yes, you could use a ponytail elastic. Just make sure it's the 4 inch measurement. So what I'm trying to show you is here is that stitched line. The cut ends are like a 1/2 inch past the stitch line. The loop is pointing towards the inside of the hoop. So the last step after that's taped down is to take your last piece of fabric, place it right side down over the hoop, and stitch the last step. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pin mine down because I'm not really going to be paying attention to it. I'm going to be trying to look at some comments. So I'm just pinning through all layers, just at the top and the bottom of the hoop to keep this from, you know, shifting or moving on me. Okay, so that last piece of fabric is placed right side down over the entire hoop. The last step is step number 7 on this one, because I did not do the monogram. So what I'm going to do is switch the camera. And I got some pop-up message here. I hope that nothing has gone wrong with the video. Okay, so, a 1 inch button. Yeah, you can use a 1 inch button. I think that I actually, on some, this one might be a tad bit smaller, not sure. But as long as your button, when you attach the elastic around it, you've got a good fit to it, that this elastic isn't going to slip off of some tiny button. Okay, so while this is stitching, let me just go over again what I have on sale. The set of coffee sleeves, Monogram coffee sleeves of 28 files is on sale on Embroidery Garden's website, embroiderygarden.com. The Garden Flower Lace collection, because I'm going to be showing you how this looks put on the front of one of the sleeves. The Garden Flower Lace collection is on sale. The Garden Flower Lace collection with the thread kit is also on sale. These flowers, these are the layered flowers. And we're going to talk about how you stitch these out. Let me get this close up, and hopefully you can see the dimension to them, because you use a product that's going to It's steam activated and it causes things to crinkle and look really cool. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. That set is on sale, and the template to print out the little packaging idea. These print 2 to a page, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. And that is also on sale. So the little sleeve is done. I'm going to pop it out of the hoop and looking to see if anyone has any questions here. So everyone, okay, still seeing. I had a pop-up come up and wondered what that was all about. I'm also using a different platform, not just a platform, but a streaming thing. So I was trying to test that out to see how it's working too. So let me go ahead and change the camera so you can see how I'm going to be trimming this. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. I've got so much stuff lying around. Okay, so let's just look at this for a second. Here at the top is my opening. I'll bring it up. Hopefully you can see it. Here's where the stitching ends on this side and ends on this side. So on my designs where there's an opening to be turned through, I always want to start trimming at that spot. So let me turn it around to myself so I can trim better. The reason I do that is because you have to leave the fabric at the opening longer, because you're going to need something to turn in to hide your opening. So what I do is cut through everything on either side of the opening. Hopefully you can see that. Here's my stitching right here. So about a 1/4 inch before the stitch line is where I stop cutting. And again, I always start at the opening so I don't forget. And now I'm just going to go and trim like a 1/4 inch past the stitching all the way around, except when I get to the opposite end, because there is the ends of my elastic. I don't want to cut those off, because if you cut off the ends of your elastic short, when you're pulling your elastic to get your sleeve onto your cup, it might pull out if you cut them really short. So I'm just going to kind of cut around those 2 ends sticking out. So let me get this cut and then I'll give you a clearer view of it. A little bit tricky to cut in front and behind so you don't cut those. And I missed my stabilizer, so let me get that. But then you can still see that I have those ends sticking out. So let me finish trimming this. Again, I'm going a 1/4 inch all the way around and finish off this little bit here. Now I'm back at the opening. So here at the opening, let me get this trimmed out. I don't need everything like this long. If I leave it about 1 inch longer, that's fine. Let me just trim that away. There's still my opening. And I want to clip my corners. I want to get all those corners, clip them diagonally. That gets bulk out of the corner. Just don't clip too close when you're at these corners. Now, another trick that I do with all of my designs, when you have the opening, you can see I've got all these pieces of fabric here. I don't need everything. All I need are the 2 that make up the opening. So let's find the opening. Here's the opening. I need this piece of fabric and I need the piece facing it, because these 2 make up our opening. All this stuff behind there, that's bulk. I'm going to trim that away and get rid of it. All right, so now we're ready to turn it. Now this one has a small opening because the side is small, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach inside with my finger and I'm going to work it all the way down to the opposite end. And I always hate turning things on camera because it seems like it becomes so fiddly. But I'm going to just kind of take that corner and see I'm kind of cupping it inside, pushing it with my thumb. You can continue pushing it with your thumb. Let me find my turning tool that I like to use. or I can use the end of that turning tool. I may try that just to get the opposite end pushed out, and there it is. So now I can turn it all the way, and I'm going to use my tool to get my corners poked out nicely. That's you know, something that you really need to take the time to do, because you can really tell on your finished product, you know, if you took that time to get your corners pushed out. All right, so I've got it basically turned. I'm going to use my tool here to get my corners poked out nice. Just be careful when you're poking the corners. You do want to make sure that you get them pushed out nicely, but you definitely don't want to go pushing through a corner. All right, so those bottom two look good. Let me put it inside here and get the top two corners pushed out nicely. And okay, so that looks pretty good. So at this point now, I'm going to turn in these raw edges. And remember, I said you don't have to hand sew. If you don't want to hand sew this part, you don't have to. Just turn them in. At this point now, I would press this and get it nice and flat. If you wanted to, you could use fusible tape right here in this opening and close it up if you really wanted to. But now we're going to turn it again. And here's the pocket. Remember the pocket that we talked about? It was that long folded piece. So I'm going to reach down inside again and get that one of the corners pushed in is probably the best way to do it. And you're going to turn it again. And I'm going to use my tool here to get it going. Okay, there we go. And now you can see where that opening ends up way down here on this opposite end. No one is ever going to see it. You're never going to have a, you know, run into it or anything, but you do want to get those corners poked out again really nicely. And, you know, I'm not going to take the time really to poke them out really nicely for you, but now you would press it. You take it and you can press it. Here's the back side and here's that pocket. Normally I do this all in one color, same fabric, but I kind of wanted you to be able to see the contrast between the two. Alice, it is the best turning tool ever. It's the R&K Precision Turning Tool. Okay, so that's how the little sleeve is made. And here's one that I made earlier that I pressed it. You can see how nice and flat it is. One thing I like to use too when I press my projects, I like to use a clapper. And I've got Angela Wolf's clapper that I like. And it's a block of wood. You press this, everything is nice and warm. You take the block of wood and you just kind of press down over it for a few seconds all the way around it. And what that does is it makes it nice and flat. Trying to show you the edge here, and really pretty. So that's how easy it is to make it. Now let's talk about some ways of embellishing it. So let's see, I showed you, if you do the monogram, you know, you have that on there. This other one I did, I added a few little crystals. You could do that if you wanted. Other things you can do, you can use the Garden Flower Lace Collection. So this is a set of, there are over 120 elements in the set. This flower, let me just kind of check here against my ruler down here. This one is a little less than 3 inches. You know, you don't want to use something ginormous on the front, but let me just kind of show you how a flower and a leaf would look on the front. Might be better to show you this on the other camera. So I can put the flower here and you can, let me show you like the dimension in the flower. So it's freestanding lace, very simple to stitch. And you could just glue this on, you could pin it on. But I think that's really pretty and very different. Not everyone's gonna have a coffee sleeve with a cute lace flower on it. Something else you can do while I have this here, if you have a cutting machine. One thing that I did was I cut out my monogram and I cut it out of glitter vinyl, actually. So, you know, and see how nice you can get it to cut. If I stitched that lettering on there, it probably wouldn't look as nice as this vinyl does. But I kind of think that's nice. You can size it any size that you want. You could use just a single letter or a whole monogram, whatever you want to do. And another added benefit, I think, of this is the glitter. See how glittery it is? I think that adds a lot to it also. Judy, you need a 6x10 hoop to make the sleeves. So if you could do the little monogram I just showed you, or, you know, a lot of programs have rhinestones. So I created this little rhinestone heart, and it could go on there. So I think that's kind of cute. You could even, if you wanted to, you know, then go back and put a letter in the middle of that heart, or you could put vinyl behind the heart. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and there's so many programs that, you know, allow you to do these things. They're just little added extra things, but they're really kind of cute. So another thing you can use are the layered flowers. Let me hold this up a little bit. So this is my set of layered flowers. There are actually 6 different styles of flowers in a set in 4 different sizes, and they have the matching leaf. Let me just show you some of the flowers. These are ones that I did, and I made them double, and then I put the stick, just kind of glued it in between the layers. But like, this is a style of flower. Here's another style. You know, here's another one. Like I said, there are 6 different ones in the set. Here's like a daisy or a sunflower. And of course, this one. So I think that was all 6 of them. But to put these on the front of your sleeve, you can do them 2 ways. You're going to notice on these that I just showed you, if you kind of look at the edges, you see batting. That white on there is batting. That kind of gives it what I kind of think of as like a shabby chic or vintage kind of a look. So you can do the flowers, and here's one that I did for my coffee sleeve here, with the batting, and you will see the little white on the edges. It's a look that if you want it, you use the batting. If you don't use it. So I would make the 2 layers. This is a 4x4 flower. They each have 2 layers to them. Just glue them together after you stitch them, and then you could glue them to the front of your sleeve. So that looks really cute. And the one that is on the little template that I have available has a real pretty one on there, and it's got a real sparkly center. It's got one of the leaves, and this one is just glued onto the front of the sleeve. We'll talk about this template here in just a second. Jenny, you could use vinyl. That would be a fantastic idea. Or you could cut them out of cork. You can use anything on these flowers that you want. Let's talk about how the flowers get the dimension. Because if you look at them, and let me kind of try to hold these sideways, you see they're not just flat. They have a little bit of wave and curve to them. And let me see if I can get another one that can show you a little bit more of the dimension. It's a little hard to get on camera, but you can see how they're kind of wavy. They're not just flat. So let's talk about how these flowers are stitched. Melody, what kind, with all the embellishments, are these washable? Certainly, you can wash vinyl. You can wash rhinestones. These things are put on shirts and things, so you could definitely do it. A lace flower like this, the freestanding lace, I don't think I would wash that. Maybe you might want to do this as a pin. You can put a pin back on here and pin it to your sleeve so you can remove it. A lot of these coffee sleeves, I don't really think of this as something being washed a lot, but you know, you can certainly spot wash it. If you pre-wash your batting and all of the fabrics you use, I don't see why you couldn't wash these. Excuse me. So let's now talk about how these flowers are stitched with all this dimension. Let me grab a hoop here. I'm not actually going to stitch a flower, but like I said, this flower that I made to fit the coffee sleeve is a 4x4 flower. You need 2 parts. So what I did actually was I put both of them into a 5x7 hoop so I could stitch them together. So to stitch these flowers, to get the dimension, you need something that is going to shrink. And this material is what I've used in. So what I'm using is, this is R&K's Sew Shrink fabric. Okay, there used to be something called Fabric Magic. There used to be something called Texture Magic. They don't make those anymore. Or if they do, I can't find them anywhere. But I had this pack of R&K Sew Shrink fabric. And what it is basically, and what the other ones were too, it's kind of a polyester feel of a fabric. But when you use this in projects, what activates it is steam. So let's talk about now how we stitch the flower. So when I stitched these out, I hooped a piece of fabric and I hooped it wrong side up. So why did I hoop it wrong side up? Because I wanted the right side of the fabric to show on the back side of the flower. So the first piece of fabric goes right side down. If you want to use batting and have this white show, batting would go next. Then a piece of the shrinking fabric. Then your top layer of fabric goes right side down. And that's how you would stitch them. This is just one color, just stitches. If you don't want the batting to show like in these, then you just don't layer that piece of batting. It would be fabric right side down, your layer of shrinking stuff, and then the next layer of fabric right side up. And then you would get a flower like this that you can't see any batting or anything on the edge. After it stitches, you just take them out of the hoop and trim around them. And these, you don't even have to be real careful trimming because that kind of goes with the look of these. They're kind of shabby, vintagey looking flowers. And after that, you're going to go to your iron. And so this would be flat. I've already steamed this one, but it would be flat. And you're going to hold your iron above this. You're not going to place your iron directly down on top because then it doesn't have any room to kind of start to puff up and add the texture. So hold your iron about a 1/2 inch above and then hit it with continuous steam until they start to crinkle and wrinkle and get dimension in them. And if I hold it up higher, maybe you can see that they're just not flat. And then you just layer them together. You can glue them, hand stitch them. I just saw someone said that you could use a snap, and you certainly could use a snap to attach the layers together. Someone wants to know, where's that list that I put up? It's on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. And you're probably going to scroll down a couple of posts now, but you will see a link to a PDF file. And that's what I do every month when I do my lives. A few days before the live, I put up a PDF file, and there's a link to show you exactly what's going to be used and links to those products. So if you are interested in these lives and stuff and what Embroidery Garden does, you really should like and follow Embroidery Garden's Facebook page so you get notices of these posts that I make. So let's talk now about the little template, which I think is kind of cute. So this is my coffee sleeve template, and what it's used for is basically to gift them. See, it's real cute to put your sleeve, your finished sleeve around it. If you wanted to sell these, this is a nice idea. It kind of gives people an idea of, what it is and how to use it. So the template, they print 2 to a page. You print them on cardstock. You can even laminate them if you want to. That's kind of an added extra expense step, but if you have a laminator at home, you can certainly do that. But print them on a heavy cardstock and they will be fine. So then what I do is the instructions, and there are instructions included with the template. You're going to punch a little hole in it, and it tells you exactly where to punch that hole at on the instructions. These are cut out. They're not cut out with a Scan-A-Cut or a cutting machine, but I just thought you could take that PDF file and trace it in a lot of programs and get your machine to actually cut out the template for you. So let me just kind of take this one off so you can kind of get the idea. So here's my finished sleeve. And here's a printed template. And let's see if you can see. There's that little hole I said that you will have to put in there. And I just used a hole punch. So it's a nice round little hole. You need a big bobby pin. And I use these because they're cheap. You can get them at the dollar store and they work for this. So then your sleeve is basically wrapped around the template. So you can see like I've wrapped it around there. I kind of hid the elastic part underneath. And where the little hole is, take your bobby pin, stick it in there, and then just kind of clip it so that it stays on. And people can see how it looks, and it's just a cute way to gift it. You can also put them down into a clear plastic bag, kind of gather up the top and, use a piece of twine or ribbon or something to tie it up. And it makes like a real cute presentation for you. Janet, which design are you actually talking about? And I can let you know what it's actually called on the website. So these are called the Monogram coffee sleeves. The garden flower lace collection are the lace flowers. Layered flower set are the fabric flowers that are layered. And the coffee template, I believe it's called coffee sleeve template. If you just type coffee into the search bar at the top of the website, it'll come up. So trying to look at some questions coming up. You might be able to, Marilyn, use batting. Use felt. I don't know if that would be the best choice. You are going to have to steam it. So these only take, if you like the look of the batting in there with the white kind of showing, they're scraps, basically, that you can use on these flowers. Okay, so I'm trying to see if there's any other questions that came through. I try to keep these lives at about an hour or so in length. So if there's some other design you want to see me demo or a technique, I'd be very happy to do that. You can watch the other demos that I've done this year on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. Just go to the page, click on videos, and you should see them pop up. Janet wants to know what that template is called. Again, if it's coffee sleeve template, I believe. Just type coffee into the search bar and it'll pop up. What type of glue works best? Hot glue will hold the flowers on if you want to use that. Just because of fabric, hot glue works well for holding fabric to fabric. There are other types of glues out there. There's the E6000. You could use that. It's kind of strong smelling, but that works. Really, any type of fabric glue that will glue fabric to fabric will work fine on this. Diana, thank you. Trying to see if there are any other ideas. Michelle, thank you for your help today putting up links. Again, you can rewatch the video if you want. If there are any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go for today. Oh, I see some things popping up. Yeah, Patty, it is gloomy weather here today. It is actually raining out, kind of cool, but we are going to get some 80s coming in next week, so that's going to be great. So, I will try to go back and answer some questions after the video is over, but this video will be on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page if you want to rewatch it or share it with your friends too. So thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. And, watch for an announcement for what the May demo will be. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. And thanks for shopping embroiderygarden.com. Oh, and that sale on the things that I mentioned is going to go until Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. That's Central Daylight Time. So get your shopping done this weekend. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day.